No time for the shenanigans today. I ain't got time. There's too much to get into, and I don't want to drag it out too far for the nation. We just need to get right into it. So let's get the camera rolling. Let's go ahead and get the show kicked off. Welcome to another episode of Night of the Shield. I'm Jason Smith, a.k.a. the Oakland Knight, a.k.a. the Blind Jedi. And you're watching Night of the Shield, brought to you by Independently Blind Studios, where I educate, advocate, motivate, and inspire those going through loss to live their best active lifestyle. For more about Independently Blind, check out Independently Blind right here on YouTube. You'll get a general idea of what Independently Blind is all about. With that said, I also like to support the low vision community as I am legally blind. And one of the things I like to do is talk Raider football, hence this podcast. So thank you for all your support. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be updated every time I drop another episode. We got a good one today. I would be remiss if I did not at least generally talk about the introduction of Tom Telesco and Antonio Pearce today in the presser. Gotta talk about it, because then I want to get into the grander topic, okay? Because I think it's more important than anything, and we have to brace ourselves for what's coming. And we'll get into that here in just a second. But first, Tom Telesco, Antonio Pearce, take the stage. I don't think the questions, there's some questions, I guess, that weren't fully asked. I watched something on the Las Vegas Raiders Journal, I think it's Review Journal. The one that's, I think it's Vic Tafers, yeah. Where the person that works with him interviewed Tom after the presser, and he asked about Champ Kelly, or she asked about Champ Kelly, excuse me, I apologize. And he answered with, yeah, he would love to work with him. He think it would be great. I mean, they have some of the same things in common. Regardless, he seemed open to working with Champ, so I hope Champ has that opportunity and embraces it, because I think Champ Kelly is still going to be key to all of this. I wish there was more of an emphasis put on that in the presser, but it was glad to hear the question asked afterwards and get some type of response there. As far as Antonio Pearce, comes as advertised with his Raider chant, in his Raider gear, all business and ready to go. And quite honestly, nothing was discussed, nothing set in stone. There's no offensive coordinator yet. We don't know if Patrick Graham is going to stay or go. We're waiting for all that smoke to settle. But in the midst of all that, several hours later, the report came out that Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers have came to an agreement, and he is going to be the next coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. And I felt like out of everything right now, that was the biggest news. And let me tell you why. Number one, it just goes to show you that when the hype train is a hype and everything's, look, we didn't even interview Harbaugh. Okay. And I don't think that's any disrespect to Harbaugh. I think everybody already knew what his thing was. I don't think Mark was going to waste his time, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think Mark Davis was going to waste his time or change the focus and push that focus anywhere else except for an Antonio Pearce, who obviously he believes in, who felt like he was going to be the guy to take the Raiders to the future, and he hired him. But I mentioned several weeks back, we talked about what it would be like if Jim Harbaugh went to the Chargers. So now here we have Antonio Pearce in his first full season, not fully unexperienced, but his first full season as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach. And his opponents twice a year are going to be Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and now Jim Harbaugh. And I am here for it. I'm excited about it. Now, what I feel like the Raider Nation needs to brace itself for is going to be the media onslaught on Antonio Pearce. Antonio Pearce being the weakest coach in the division, him having to go up against Andy Reid and Sean Payton, who he's already beaten. So it's not like it can't be done. And Kansas City's pretty, it might not be the Kansas City of a few years ago, but that team is playing in the AFC Championship game. So it is still a formidable foe. So I don't want to hear the excuses about how good or not as good Kansas City is. It's still a well-running machine, and we'll see what happens this weekend. Sean Payton is going to be continuing to build his identity over there with the Denver Broncos, and I do expect them to get better. But I also expect us to get better. So I'm not worried about that. We have the upper hand in my argument. Like, we have the upper hand in that one. We're further along. We got them figured out more than they have us figured out, especially as it pertains to our defense. I think we're taking large steps, and we'll have to wait to see how all that folds. But Jim Harbaugh, he is going to be the juggernaut. We don't know how he's going to readapt himself into the National Football League. History will say, his resume will say, this is going to make the Chargers much better. Hey, let's make no question about it. The odds that the Chargers become more formidable is a reality. But the one thing that's always intrigued me about Antonio Pearce is that this guy's relentless himself. I don't think he's given enough credit of what he could become, and we're just focused on what he may be now, which is a very unexperienced head coach in the National Football League. Never mind what he was able to pull off last season. Never mind that everybody that you seem to talk to that's been around this guy absolutely loves him, and he's a leader, which is a lot of the same accolades they talk about Jim Harbaugh. Likable guy, leader. That's what he does. Well, that's exactly what Antonio Pearce is. And I said it just this week. At some point in time, the biggest thing that Antonio Pearce has on all of three of these head coaches in the AFC West is time. Time. He's younger than all of them. They are closer to retirement than he is. And no one knows how long they will coach. I think Andy Reid may be the first one out. I think Sean and Jim are pace to pace. I think they can go an easy decade or more if you look across the National Football League. But I think the margin for error for them is shorter because of it. They're going to be pushing harder. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Now, everything that we've heard about Antonio Pearce, the football player, he's aggressive. He's intense. High energy. A lot like Max Crosby, right? Those are the things that we hear, and those are the things that we see, and those are the things that we witness. This is going to be so motivating for a guy like Antonio Pearce just to be on his A game. I don't think it's not just going to inspire Antonio Pearce. I believe that is going to translate. You've heard it a lot today, right? The team tends to take on the personality of the head coach. I think we're going to have one fired up Las Vegas Raider football team in 2024, and I'm here for it. I've made this analogy quite a bit before, okay? I know a lot of us have an athletic past. We all do, right? I was very athletic as a young man. I played all sports. I played soccer, football, baseball, basketball. I played it all. And obviously, I didn't get a college degree out of it, and hence I'm losing my sight as well. But I'm honest enough to tell you, I can't honestly say I was taking it seriously enough even to become a pro athlete. If I'm going to be real with myself and real with you, like, I'm not saying that I was that guy, but I was athletic enough that I definitely was, on the first team. Let's just put it that way. Okay. I wasn't a scrub. I wasn't a nobody. I was athletic. I was good. Not great, but I was good. Okay. And there would be moments in pickup games. I'll use the basketball reference. We're doing some pickup games where it's 2-on-2 or 4-on-4. And there'd just be those days you got it, right? There's those days you go out there and it feels like you can't miss and everything's working for you and you're just out there and you're balling out. And then there's other times where somebody on the opposite team or somebody that might be on the court that day says something or does something and challenges you in a way where it's just this extra gear kick in. The adrenaline starts to flow and you get into the zone and you just can't miss. Once again, I mean, there's two different ways this happens. It could just be a good day or something sparked you, something got you to that point. And I believe that this is one of those moments. I believe that this is going to translate into Antonio Pearce being more dialed in and more focused. Because it's going to be out there. He's going to be someone, even if it's not him, somebody is going to be paying attention to what is being said. And I promise you, and we'll report on some of it, right? But I guarantee you, because it happens every year anyway, but this just going to solidify the fact that they're not going to have the Raiders ranking that high this year. And this is obviously, pre-free agency, pre-draft, but nevertheless, like we'll see what kind of team we build. but they're going to base it solely off of the 3 head coaches that are in the AFC West. And I'm not going to sit here and downplay it either. That is not an easy task. It's not. But what don't break you makes you stronger. You want to go up against the best. You know, as young as AP is and as new at this as he is, going up against these guys twice a year, win, lose, or tie, dude, this guy is going to be getting so much experience going against some of the best that's ever done it. That's just going to make him a better coach in the long run. And that's why I said the one thing that Antonio Pearce has on his side is time. Time. He's going to outlast all these guys. Now, with me saying that, I want to be really honest once again and real and keep it a buck here, right? He's got to get to their level. But anybody in the comment section, please let me know if I'm wrong. I mean, there's nothing that has happened with Antonio Pearce that says he's not going to give everything he has. He's waited for an opportunity like this. Hey, this guy was undrafted free agent, got on in Washington, ended up with the Giants, won a Super Bowl against a team nobody thought could beat, right? Come on. This guy is built for this. He's completely built for this. Now, easier said than done, and I'll be the first one to sit here to say so. Let's go ahead and put a bow on that. That is the highlight of today's podcast, if you haven't caught on, right? Motivation. Antonio Pearce has more than enough motivation now going against Andy Reid, Sean Payton, now Jim Harbaugh. And I'm here for it. Now, real quick, to just touch base on the way out here as we talk about, you know, Tom Telesco, and Antonio Pearce. A lot of people are still trying to figure out Tom, and we're not going to know, okay? And everybody thinks there has to be a clear-cut answer every single time. Good or bad, keep or gone, right? Like, nobody wants to give anybody the benefit of the doubt. It's a clean slate. It's a new opportunity, right? Either he's going to get better or he's going to get worse. Tom Telesco has a tall task. And I said yesterday, and I know that hasn't been necessarily the most popular podcast because everybody's probably like, I really don't care about Tom Telesco. Okay, fine. I get it. Nobody cares. But at some point, we're going to have to keep a sharp eye on what this guy is going to be doing. But I said yesterday, in yesterday's pod, it's not about the who, okay? We're so caught up in the who. Champ Kelly, Ed Dodds. It looks like, and I haven't got this point or part confirmed, but it's not even going to be Dobbs at the Chargers from my understanding. He may join the team to be with them, but it didn't look like he was going to be the GM over there, which is interesting, right? I know that's somebody that we were highly interested in, obviously for a different reason. But it's not the who, it's the why. Why Tom? Well, it makes a lot more sense now. If the Raiders caught wind that Jim Harbaugh was going to be the head coach of the Chargers, it makes a lot more sense that they would want to go with more of an experienced GM, and not just any experienced GM, an experienced GM that may not be a Super Bowl winning GM or an all-pro GM or AFC West championship. You get it. But he is somebody that has drafted really well, something that we complain and argue and bitch and moan about every year. He's a guy that seems like he's going to get it right and take the best player available and not try to overthink it and overdo it and pick some random player at some random spot early on in the first round. And I could dig that. But he also knows this division. So he's been dealing with this division for 10 years. He knows what he faces when it comes to the Chiefs, the Broncos, and now even more important, the Chargers. He knows that staff inside and out. Hell, he built that squad. So, yes, there'll be a lot of new pieces he's not going to know. There's going to be a lot of new philosophy that he's not going to be up to deal with, but he's going to know a lot of where they're at now and some of the key players that they have, and that could help as it comes to planning for not only how we scheme, but, who we need to get to really play to their strengths and their weaknesses, so on and so forth. Look, it's not going to be a big edge, but it makes sense to have an experienced guy in-house making some really big decisions going up against a very tough conference. It's been one of the toughest conferences in the National Football League for quite some time now. And now you got three of the best to ever do it and one up-and-coming guy that's out to prove himself. Motivation. Complete 100% motivation. I'm not saying it was the right call, but I get the why now. The why makes total sense to me. We'll have to play it by ear, watch every move that they make. A lot of big decisions to come up, primarily as it comes to the trenches. That's where we need to start. We need to look at quarterback. We don't even know who the offensive coordinator is going to be. We don't know if Patrick Graham's coming back. There's a lot we don't know, but I'm going to be paying more attention to what they do and why than maybe even before, because they got to get it right. They got to be able to compete on the field. And I think Antonio Pearce's energy and just his nature of not quitting, commitment to excellence, poise, pride and poise, everything he was talking about is already going to be on display as the team takes the field. And it's going to be an exciting 2024. So hopefully we get a kickback, enjoy the ride. We'll do it together right here on Night of the Shield. I appreciate every single one of you for being here. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date every time I drop another episode. Let's go, baby. Motivation time, AP. Rise up. Let's do this. Commitment to excellence. Pride and poise. Just win, baby. Until next time, stay Raider strong. Night out.